Hello there everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr, and girl, if you think my videos are too long then maybe you might want to go and check my last one out. Welcome to today's Should You Pull video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and today the video is the real Should You Pull video for Noctis, as well as his LD and BT weapons that are coming out. It's a big banner that a lot of people are very excited about, so much so that I thought it'd be fun to make a little joke video beforehand. Anyways, if that's something you guys are interested in, as well as looking into Odin and his Chaos event, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always, don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below, including Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Patreon. Twitch this week, I will not be able to be streaming from this Sunday all the way until next Friday because I'm actually going to be away for the week. I'm on a canal boat trip, which honestly I could do with a break. I've not had one in quite some time, and obviously all of us have had a time of it this year, but I will be returning hopefully Friday evening to give you guys a stream with Noctis and his pulls and stuff like that, and then again on Monday when Barsh comes around, but I'll have another video for Barsh by the time that comes around as well. On Patreon, obviously I shout out one of my patrons at random every time I release a video to give thanks to each and every person who decides to support this channel further, and today that person is going to be Kaibeth. So thank you very much for your support. Don't forget to check out all of the links in the description box below related to websites to do with Opera Omnia, so you can see those all down below. And of course, don't forget to check out all the other content creators out there besides myself. Now, before we go into Noctis' LD and his burst itself, it's important to note that he actually does get a pretty significant rework on his existing kit as well. Now, he gets additional hits all around when it comes to Shooting Star Plus, Death Drop, Warp Strike, all that stuff, but the most important thing that gets additional hits and stuff is his Point Blank Warp Strike, which triggers after he does either his HP plus when he has 5 stacks of his armor buff that adds hits onto his various attacks, which you can gain from either using his skill 2 or his EX, and it also triggers after using the plus versions of his skills, which become plus versions after the first time you use them, or on alternate times that you use them. So not only does Point Blank Warp Strike get an additional hit within its hits, it also gives you Brave Gain before you actually do the bravery damage. So you are like Noctis's extra attacks on the end of everything he did were always really nice. Like when his EX first came around, it was like a really big thing. Or when his first rework came around, it was a really big thing. Then his EX came out, or his EX Plus rather came out, and it was a little bit lackluster. Like it was good, but he was released alongside Aranea, which kind of meant he was always going to get steamrolled. But he actually gets a lot out of this, and the amount of damage that he can churn out with his Point Blank Warp Strike extra attacks on top of everything that he does makes a huge difference. Not only that, but now the plus versions of both Shooting Star and Warp Strike don't add to the turn count, as you can see here. So this actually makes it so that Noctis is extremely turn efficient, and he will extend this like nobody's business when it comes to his LD and his burst. His EX obviously does a large amount of damage, makes it so he gets a free skill use on the next turn, so his longevity has no issues really. He's also going to have access to just damage. He's got launches in his kit, which through Shooting Star, which are very much going to help you when it comes to Odin at the very least. And he gets splash damage added to the standard version of Shooting Star as well, because originally it only had splash damage on the plus version, and now it has it on both ways. He basically just gets a large amount of damage through his rework, and that's before we've even looked at his LD and his burst. Now, I made a joke video about Noctis, because saying why you should just go and look up Turn 0 Noctis on YouTube and then come back and ask me about whether you think you should pull on Noctis. Well, let me explain why that kind of thing comes about. Steel Pirouette is the skill that you get from his LD weapon. Now, Steel Pirouette is a pretty heavy damage dealing attack. It does 100% HP damage across the board, which is fantastic. It means he can gain 3 levels of armor. Bear in mind that with his EX Plus, he actually starts the match with 2, and his maximum stacks is 5. And for each stack you have, his max bravery goes up, and the potency on the extra hit that he deals in all of his kit gets stronger with every stack of armor he has. And when he has 5 stacks of armor, he gets an HP++, which also triggers the point-blank Warp Strike. So getting to 5 stacks of Armor as quickly as this actually helps you quite a lot. And believe me when I say that is not the main reason that this attack is as good as it is. He also gets another framed buff called Bonds of Amity, or Bonds with Friends. It's got different names depending on where you look, which also increases his initial bravery and gives him a large amount of initial bravery regen, which is fantastic, given that he takes quite as many turns as he does, because the plus versions of his skills, his LD, his EX, all sorts of things that he does move his turn immediately in front of the enemy. So you get turn manipulation without having to delay the enemy. It's like a reverse version of delay where you're just taking turns over and over again. Now Warp Step is ridiculous. Warp Step gives that ability to everyone in your party. So whenever anyone acts within your party, they get their turn moved in front of the enemies, and the turn they just took does not increase the turn count. So not only does Noctis get loads of free turns, his party members do as well, and this can create such situations where you can clear ridiculously difficult content by turn 0. And just this abuse of turn manipulation, non-increased turn count. You know, you can combine him with characters like Kais. Like Noctis and Kais together is quite frankly revolting, because obviously Noctis can launch on command, and we all know how good that can be with Kais. Kais gives can move his turn in front of Noctis, and then Noctis can move around, and that's just one example of a ridiculous sort of pairing between them. There are loads of ways you can abuse Warp Step. And then with Power Stones, it increases his attack damage, it increases the bravery damage. It makes it so that the Bonds with Friends, or Bonds with Amity, lasts for 16 turns, which is a long old time. And then it also means that the Warp Step lasts for 2 turns instead of 1. So you can make so much abuse out of this skill, it's not even funny. And then, obviously, looking at his burst. Now, the first thing, obviously, when it comes to a burst, is that you get an extra skill use out of everything you've got. Now, with Steel Pirouette, you only get 3 uses out of it. Yeah, good, because you shouldn't need too many more than that. Obviously, having the burst means you have a 4th use of it, which means you've got 2 more turns of Warp Step, you've got 2 more turns to absolutely abuse everything, and yet, this is the first burst that has come out where you look at it and go, yeah, I might need that, because it's really stupid. In combination with the rework, in combination with the LD, and everything else that Noctis brings along, he does a single target Brave HP attack, which is going to deal up to 300,000 damage, which is great. It's similar to Varn. And then the burst effect that he gets means that the Warp Strike that he does, it's a different version of it, so it's not the same thing, which means that it can stack on top of it in the right situations, triggers after anyone attacks. Like, anyone attacks, and Noctis jumps in with a 3-hit Brave HP attack, 4 hits if you've got Armor, which, let's face it, you're going to have Armor stacks. You're just getting an extra 4-hit Brave HP attack on top of every single move you make while this burst effect is live. So, in combination with characters like Machina, for example, who take free turns and their turns don't move forward, or Alize with the ridiculous turn efficiency and speed, you're getting Noctis kind of jump in during every attack and go, yeah, no, I want some damage as well. This all adds up to an absolutely staggering amount of damage and turn efficiency, because bear in mind that you've used the LD during the burst, so no one's getting a turn added to the turn count either, and you're getting their turns move in like funny ways against the enemies as well. It's just mind-blowing how powerful this burst really is. Like I said, I made a gag video because it was like, to me and to a very large percentage of the Opera Omnia community, should you pull on Noctis is kind of a moot point. It's how much resources have you saved up to be able to pull for Noctis? In terms of artifacts, like, it should be a pretty obvious given what artifacts you want for Noctis. Damage. That is all you care about, is damage. I talk about people being just a damage dealer. Noctis isn't just a damage dealer because of his ability to do turn manipulation and stuff like that. But his damage just makes every other damage dealer just look like pales in comparison to Noctis. So you definitely want Attack 108, straight away, and then Will of the Prince will increase his damage further, so that's definitely the artifact that you want to be going for. So now that we've had a look at Noctis and exactly why he's as powerful as he is, let's take a look at the event that comes with him, which is Odin. Now it's fortunate that Noctis is released at the same time as a summon board, because a summon board is going to give us an absolute megaton of resources, so 400 tickets, like nearly 40,000 gems, loads of resources that are going to allow us to pull for Noctis in one way or another. And it's lucky as well that Noctis is as powerful as he is, because Odin's a bit of a pain in the arse when it comes to his Chaos version. Odin's primary thing is that his Zantetsuken, or his recharge ability, will kill anyone instantly if the attack breaks them or if they're already broken. So you cannot afford to allow your characters to be broken pretty much at all during this fight. Because if they get broken, they will die if Odin decides to Zantetsuken at the wrong time. He also has a ridiculously efficient turn rate. He's really fast, and he has attacks that reduce your bravery to 0. He can inflict doom on you, which obviously instantly breaks you. He can't be delayed in certain situations. He can't be delayed, and then after he's used Zantetsuken twice, he actually gets an aura, which is a state in which he counters things. He has sap. And a strong sap at that, and he can't be delayed even through break. So normally when you break somebody, their turn goes back a turn. That doesn't happen while Odin's like this. And the only way to bring him out of this state is to launch him off his horse. So literally launch him, which is why Noctis and Fang are on the banner. So if you want to really make sure that you're taking a Chaos character, or character for Chaos that is going to do well here, bring someone that can launch, because you're going to need it. When he's launched off his horse, I mean, it doesn't actually launch him off his horse, but you know what I mean. It also lowers his defense, which is nice, but it doesn't make up for all the ridiculous things he gives himself. And like I said, he's got so many different things on top of the fact that he's got this incredible turn rate and the ability to just insta-kill you. Be prepared to reset the wave occasionally, particularly if you don't have Noctis. If you, as much as I sit there and say Noctis is ridiculous, because he is, if you're in a position where you can't get him, don't panic. There's no reason to just throw your arms up in the air and go, I give up. There are characters that you can use in order to clear Odin. The Chaos Challenge would be difficult without Noctis, I'm not going to lie to you. But in terms of the regular Chaos, there are characters you can bring along. Characters that can instantly break Odin will help you quite a lot here. So a character like Gabranth, who has instant break after he's got the debuffs up, is going to be really helpful. You're going to want to bring somebody that can make sure that their bravery can be sunk down. Penelo is another great example of this, because her EX will bring the bravery right down to 0 so that you can break him. Characters that can make it so that you take less bravery damage will also help here, because you're obviously trying to prevent getting broken at all costs. So characters like Desh, Gabranth, Leon's actually a really good shout here as well, having just come out. Leon being able to kind of make it so that a lot of Odin's attacks actually restore your bravery. He's still going to gain bravery, but at least you're not getting broken, and that's going to make a big difference for you, because all of Odin's attacks are non-elemental. Then you're going to want to bring somebody that can launch. So Kais, Dark Knight Cecil, even Lael will work well here, just to get him out of that horrendous state where he's just going to wreck you if you don't get him out of it as soon as possible. The reason I say Kais, Dark Knight Cecil and Lael as opposed to characters like Zidane or Kane is because their guaranteed launch is attached to their EX and not one of their skills. Whereas Lael and DKC and Kais can make it so that they can just go, no matter what the situation is I can launch you when I need to. So those three I would highly recommend for that. And then just be prepared for the fact that this is going to be quite a difficult fight. Like I said, with the summon board as well, because we have quite so many synergy characters, with there being 2 banners, obviously both coming around with Noctis, and because Noctis is going to be polled by 90% of players of the game, you're going to have somebody really efficient to go through, like summon board farming, anything you need in terms of that. You'll be finding it really easy, and with the wild points and the fact that we now get a crazy amount of points, especially if you've got Mog Pass or anything like that, summon board farming is going to be significantly less painful than it was the last few times that we've had it. Speaking of Mog Pass, if you haven't used your free one already, now would be a relatively good time to do it, because then you'll be able to benefit from the double points across all of the stuff that you get from Odin. And then with the Chaos Challenge, I think Paladin Cecil is actually extremely important here just for the defensive buffs. in an ideal situation, you would have Noctis, you would have Paladin Cecil, and then you would have either Fran or Irvin as your third party member. People that can make Noctis stronger, people that can sort of like lower the resistance to ranged attacks. Irvin actually has healing in his kit as well, and then Fran has attack down in hers. So having those three together will help you bolster up your what you have available in terms of not taking bravery damage, keeping your battery up through Cecil, being able to heal through Cecil and or Irvin. If you don't have Noctis, then Fang is your only other option for Chaos Challenge in terms of launching. And Fang is Fang. She's very old. She's not gained anything major for a long time. So I think that without Noctis, you will struggle on the Chaos Challenge. But that being said, if you're going to take like anything for the Chaos Challenge, just make sure you bring a launcher, a way of reducing bravery damage, and in an ideal world, Noctis. So now we come to the portion of the video that we're all waiting for, because the obvious answer is as obvious as ever. Should you pull on Noctis's banners? And if you do, which one? Now, there are multiple ways of going about this. Now, the answer is obviously yes. Like, Noctis is extraordinary. Like, there's nobody quite as good as he is at this point in time. And quite frankly, there won't be for a very long time to come either. Odin comes close, but Noctis is really something else. When it comes to pulling for him, you have options. Now, I will not be pulling for Noctis pretty much at all this week because I'm going to wait until I can come back to doing streaming. So I'll use myself as an example here. The only EX I don't own across both of Noctis's banners is 7. Now, I'm not that fussed about 7. I do, however, want Barsh LD when it comes around. So my current plan, and feel free to give your own plans or anything like that in the comments below, is to pull for Noctis's LD with tickets. And then, given that we get so many tickets with Odin, I mean, my luck is pretty terrible, but it's unlikely that I'll not get the LD at all. Then, once Barsh comes around, I will either just go straight for gems, and then go in for Barsh's LD and Noctis's burst at the same time. Or, I might even try and ticket Barsh as well, depending on how friendly Noctis is to me, and then go in and use gems on 9's banner, because then at least I can be going for the burst and getting something else along the way. The fact of the matter is, everybody wants Noctis. The thing you need to work out is how to go for him. In all honesty, the only reason I can think to not pull for Noctis is if you can't, or if you don't have the resources for it. Luckily, we do get a large amount of resources with Odin, and he is going to be around for a little while, so you just have to figure out the best way to use your own resources. A lot of people have been saving up for a long while to get him, so obviously if you've done that, then go in with the methods that I've already stated, whether you want to just go all in for Noctis now, or if you want to wait until you can go for Barsh or 9. The only problem I will say is that obviously, as I've said this at the beginning of the burst era, be careful going and pitying a burst on the first banner. Because the last thing you want to happen is you spend all your resources, you get the LD, you get the burst, you've spent 200,000 gems, an absolute worst case scenario, and then Barsh comes out, a few tickets in it, and you get Noctis's burst and you've wasted 125,000 gems. You don't want that to happen, so be frugal and try not to get so excited about the fact that he's this stupid powerful character, and just play the field out the best way toward your own resources. Grab the LD first, then decide on what you're pulling for in the future. If you get the burst before the LD, then great, then you can just throw everything I've just said out the window. But if you get the LD first and not the burst, maybe consider waiting on either Barsh or 9 to try for the burst itself, depending on whether you've spent gems already, and then once you've finished with the other banner, gauge which banner you've either got more G tokens on, or there's EXs that you're missing on, and then pull accordingly by that standard. So that's going to be all for today's video. I hope that this video was a little bit more informative than the last one, but then for all those people that have complained that my videos are a bit on the long side, then like I said, you can go back and watch that last one, and that'll give you pretty much all the information that you need to know regarding whether you should pull Noctis or not. Let me know in the comments below if you're pulling for Noctis. More specifically, I'm actually more interested in people who aren't pulling for Noctis and what their reasons are for not doing so. And then let me know how your pulls go. I will obviously be away all week, so I look forward to coming back, and hopefully, for once, one of these banners will be nice to me and I don't end up having to pity again on a character as strong as Noctis is. and I will see you guys in the obviously on the next stream or the next video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video out to people who might be interested in Dissidia Opera Omnia. And of course, don't forget to click that bell for notifications on the future videos I might be making. I did also want to say a quick thank you because I've already posted on all my socials and everything, but we actually hit 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is ridiculous and crazy. In these past couple of months, between Twitch partner and 15,000 on YouTube, things have gotten a little bit crazy and overwhelming. So while I'm making improvements to both my YouTube and my Twitch as much as I physically can, it's going to take me a little while to kind of get back on top of everything because it's like, you know, the rug's been pulled out from under me a little bit. But thank you all very much for your support. Patreon, Twitch, YouTube, everything. Thank you all very, very much. And I hope that I can continue to inform and entertain as best as I physically can. That's going to be it from me, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.